Hello and welcome to Journey Intelligence Weekly, your briefing on the latest news and trends in the world of AI. I'm Jordan Roberts, and I'm here with Mark Pizzuli. We're both from Journey Alliance, the proud sponsors of this series. Thank you again for joining us. And we want this to be interactive. So if you have any comments or questions, please drop them in the chat below, and we'll try to incorporate them as we go. And if you want to learn more about AI training for your role, you'll notice that QR code in the corner there. If you scan that, it will take you to our webpage where you can learn more. And with that out of the way, Mark, what have you heard in the news this week?
So, interestingly, last year, there was a company called Klarna. They were the first company to go all in on AI, announcing that they were going to cut almost all of their customer service staff and replace it with AI. They cut, I believe, 700 agents at the time. This week, they're bringing the humans back. So they found out that, yes, the AI chatbot answers were cheaper, but they were quite a bit lower quality. And from a customer satisfaction standpoint, they started getting quality complaints, and they were worried about brand trust, and so they decided to reverse that. I think this is just a great kind of just you can't just hand everything over to AI quite yet and just let it run. There's some huge advances to be made. I think that what we're actually going to land on, right, like is this concept of something hybrid, right? Something where like AI does triage, AI does level 1 support, level 2 support maybe, and then like when it gets too complicated or can't be resolved within a reasonable amount of time, then I think you fall back to the human. So so the interesting challenge with that, I'm going to hand it to you in a second, but like the interesting challenge with that is like, how do people become like the level 3 support if you don't have any level 1 or level 2? Like how do you get them to that level of knowledge? So it's an interesting question.
Yeah, I read that article too, and a few things stood out about it. One is that Klarna has been on the front end of using AI. They told the OpenAI CEO that they wanted to be OpenAI's favorite guinea pig. So they wanted to experiment with AI in any way that they could. But another thing is how they're bringing back customer support is it's not your traditional role. They're looking at it to be like an Uber type style of, that's how the CEO described it, where they have maybe people who are users of Klarna who do support, and it's when people have a need for it, not necessarily somebody just waiting to take calls.
Yeah, and it's going to be pay per chat, pay per support incident. So
yeah,
a little more gig economy type support model. So it should be interesting to see how this evolves, but I think we're going to see more like the pendulum's going to swing, and it's going to swing back, and then we got to find out where that spot is, and then candidly that spot's going to move over time as well. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see where it ultimately lands.
Yeah. In similar news of a company kind of mishandling how they talk about AI, SoundCloud is under fire after it quietly updated its terms of service to include language that allows the company to use user uploaded content to train AI models. So if you don't know, SoundCloud is where people can create music and upload it. A lot of artists have gotten their start there. The move sparked intense criticism from artists and users concerned about consent, transparency, and data usage.
Yeah.
I know SoundCloud isn't necessarily relevant to a lot of what a lot of us do, but the point is that if you're going to add AI usage into things, you want to be transparent about that and not just try to quietly add the AI use.
I think, yeah, I totally agree. And I think there's another interesting aspect here, though, is it's a very unresolved and it's a sticking point with creatives, if you will. If I think of
Mm.
what I creatives,
Oh yeah.
right? So actors, musicians. So they are not pleased with where things are headed, and so you're likely to get a lot of pushback if that's the type of content you're trying to uh, you know train on without getting like more explicit permission first. So
Yeah.
just, you got to think things through. I'm sure a lot of companies are adding in clauses like this in all their stuff because they want to be able to sell. Like what people don't realize is companies like Reddit are selling their data for hundreds of millions of dollars to AI firms now to be trained to
Oh
train
yeah.
on. So the data, the content that we're giving Reddit when we have conversations on there is what's being the basis for future models to be trained on. So um, anywhere somebody can find data that's trainable, they're going to try to leverage that and see if they can't turn it into something they can monetize.
Absolutely.
So on the other side of that, on the flip side of using AI for good, so researchers at Mass General Brigham trained an AI called Face Age. So this is a deep learning tool. It estimates a person's biological age from a single photo, essentially from a selfie. In a test on 6,000 cancer patients, those whose face age looked older than their actual age had markedly poorer survival odds over a 6-month period. When they combined face age, the output from face age, and the output from a clinician, right? So they merged the two together. The accuracy for 6-month survival jumped from only 60% on the clinician alone to 80%. So for the two combined, so they could pretty accurately start to predict um, how you're functioning, I guess, how well you're prepared for um, the coming kind of challenges that you're about to have when you're going through a cancer diagnosis. So it's pretty interesting when you start to think about how they're going to start to leverage AI, not just in healthcare, but that's something that over time likely doesn't even, you can do that with your phone, right? Like this isn't even
Yeah.
like go to the hospital to get this done. So
Yeah, there was a story very recently about, the Aura ring. It's a ring that monitors your health status.
yeah,
It notified this woman, I think, of an elevated heart rate, and she found out that she was like she could have had a heart attack at any moment or something of the sort. And so I just those kind of advancements are really exciting to me.
yeah. I think we'll see huge. We're going to see huge advances there. I think specifically from Apple because they built such an ecosystem around managing and monitoring health, along with with the watch and their phone, and they just have the data.
Yeah.
Another company not in the news this week, but I would say if Apple and Epic get together,
Oh yeah.
there be some amazing things because people don't realize, but Epic is like the most important healthcare company you've never heard of. They run the
Mhm.
computers at 80% of hospitals. They have data on diagnoses on 240 million Americans, and they can train models on that, and they can do predictive analysis on kind of where your health is headed very accurately already. So I don't even have a news story on that. I just know that some great things are going to come out of Epic in the future, and
Oh,
they're
for sure.
privately owned, which is just nuts. So
That is kind of crazy for a company of their size.
yeah, they're huge to be privately owned. So
So, in other positive news, NVIDIA released Parakeet 2, and that is a state of the art open source speech recognition model that's fast, lightweight, and completely free for commercial use. So, it can transcribe an hour of audio in 1 second. It achieves a 6% word error rate, which beats models from Microsoft. and it runs on very little memory, so it's ideal for local edge deployment. And it's trained on 120,000 hours of English audio using NVIDIA's dataset. It was pretty cool. I tried it out myself, and it was pretty accurate. So that one is exciting to me because it's free. Like,
Oh, it's free.
all
Did
these.
you run it on your computer? You downloaded
Mhm.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's hidden between the lines there, everyone starts what I think is really the most important aspect of what Jordan just touched on there is that this is not a model you pay for and you run on somebody's website. This is a model that can run on your computer. So your data doesn't go anywhere. If you're a company that has concerns about that type of stuff, AI is now coming to you, if you will. So this is transcription at cloud quality that can run on local computers. So which makes it faster and significantly less expensive in almost all cases. So these are really big advancements. When that starts to happen to large language models, it will be a very interesting time and place because companies will be able to keep control of their own data. So
Yeah.
other advancements on models, a company out of Tokyo, Japan, Sakana AI, they unveiled what they're calling their continuous thought machine. So this is a new type of neural network. It's called a neuromorphic style neural network, right? So it's an analog digital mixed mode model. And it's significantly more energy efficient. But what's really wild about it is it can solve challenges better based on how much time it takes. So the longer you give it to solve something, the better it will perform at the task. What's interesting about that is that's how humans are. So humans perform better at a task generally the longer they're given. So the tasks in this case are like solving mazes, classifying images. So the faster you want it to work, the less accurate it is. But the more time you give it, the more accurate it becomes. So the other really important thing here is it has a way, and I don't fully, I don't know how to fully explain this, but basically you can trace its thinking. So you can kind of look inside the model and see what's happening. And that is going to give it an advantage in environments that require auditing, right? Because you can kind of look that it a certain way. It wasn't done with any bias or what the biases were. So, I mean, that's something that we don't have currently. Like, really, nobody really knows why ChatGPT and other LLMs give you the responses they give you. They're just beginning to really understand them. So, so this is interesting in that it kind of, it kind of provides a more a more traceable solution.
Yeah, I will say, and this is going to veer completely off topic because when you said what is the word?
Neuromorphic.
Neuromorphic. I thought you were going to follow that with some kind of brain controlled thing. Like, yeah, like I read recently that iPhone or Apple is experimenting with like a brain controlled device. So people who can't use their hands to control a device could use their brain, and it's slower than normal, but I imagine like anything, it'll just get faster. And so people can actually control their device using their brain, but that is not what that is at all.
No, not at all. No, but I mean, there's other companies, Neuralink's out there. They're doing the same thing, and they're having a lot of success as well. So and the primary use cases right now are resolving, maybe not resolving, but remediating people with disabilities, right? Giving them controls back that they don't have. So it's really, I think, a really interesting field. So it'd be exciting to see how that progresses. So.
Yeah.
Additionally, on more international model news, there's a startup out of China called Manus, and they kind of took everything by storm about 2 weeks ago. They had an invite-only agent, right? AI agent functioning, and it can autonomously plan a trip, book the flights, book the, like, it can go out and, you tell it the problem it's out to solve, and it would go and work through it until it solved the problem. It got so crazy that people were selling codes to get early access. I saw this happening in one of my groups, and people were getting in trouble for it because you weren't allowed to monetize anything in the group. So that frenzy is now over. They released it it's now released to the general public. Anybody can sign up. That happened because they received 75 million, I believe, in fresh funding this week. So that puts their valuation just shy of, I think, at 500 million. And they're tiny. And so the fact that they've gotten to a $500 million valuation in a very short order is pretty impressive. I just got access. I haven't had a chance to play with it yet, but the rumor is that their next target is rapid integration into things like Zapier and Make, so that you can give it instructions and it can go and do things in your apps with your access. So should be really interesting to see. That's where we're headed. We're definitely headed to this agentic AI future. And so we'll see how this all plays out. But this is really nice, really exciting advance, and should prompt some other companies to move forward very quickly as well.
Yeah, most people probably know what Zapier is, but Make.com it allows you to automate. It's agentic, if I'm explaining that correctly. I wanted to ask, I know you said that you didn't get to play with Manus, but like, what do you know some of the practical applications for people that want to check it out? What are the kinds of things that it can help us do?
So right now, I would say it's fairly limited to things you can accomplish via a browser, right? So you have to and the more public they are, the better off it's going to do. So sending it to an e-commerce site to complete a transaction, like those are going to be the capabilities. As what the challenge with a lot of these systems is, how does it cross over and become you, in a sense? Like, how does it start to log in as you and act as you? And so do you give it access to your passwords? Well, okay. I mean, like a lot of us, like, I don't, and then all my passwords are in one password manager. Do I want it to have access to my bank passwords? Like, how do I segregate my passwords? Like, so these are all challenges we haven't had to solve before. I think we're going to need solutions for a lot of these. But as they go into more SaaS tools, like then you've already decided what systems it can work in, and that really opens up the business side of things. So I think the current use cases are planning trips, booking flights, booking dinner reservations.
Yeah, I saw someone use it to build a website referencing for an MBA, a marketing MBA, referencing the Ivy League websites.
Yeah.
I imagine that would need some moderation and correction, but it built it pretty quickly.
I mean, they're capable of doing, I mean, building out straight HTML pages for a website is something that can be done in minutes now for a very complex site. I mean, and you can even combine the ability to deploy them and take the site live. And I mean, it's not even that many, you don't even need that many pieces of software, that many applications to do it. So that feels like something that is very within reach. So, and the crazy thing about Manus is, like, there's a free platform, so you can go and try it for free. The paid versions are only like $40 or $40 a month for the starter, and the power one's like $200 a month. So they're definitely competing with ChatGPT Pro mode, or Pro, right? ChatGPT Pro, I believe, is what it's called. And my challenge is these models keep coming out, these different companies keep coming out. I can't keep subscribing to all of them. That's the challenge. So I like to go play with them and see what they're like. And I have a few too many subscriptions. Everyone else has too many streaming subscriptions, and I just have too many AI subscriptions.
You would. You would. I was going to ask if you thought that at some point that it would combine in some way. I know right now ChatGPT kind of has a lot of the market share on AI browsers, or platforms. But do you think there is a time where it maybe combines or can access all of your stuff, or they all kind of do the same thing, so that you don't have to have all these subs?
Oh, I mean, I think they're all racing to the same place, right? I think it's ultimately the goal, or the outcome. So, the question is the path they go on to get there. The other interesting thing is the amount of investment into this space cannot continue to grow at the pace it's been growing at, and that we've seen some companies slowing down their investment, in terms of like how many GPUs they're buying and how much money they're just pouring on this problem. That can't continue to grow, forever, because it's literally in the trillions of dollars right now. There's just not enough investor money to feed the need. So at some point, these companies have to start making money. So the question is like, can you get to profitability soon enough, right? These are just true business challenges. Right now, they're selling technical challenges like mad, but ChatGPT is not profitable, right? So OpenAI is not profitable. I don't know if they don't publish numbers on their AI arm, but Anthropic is not profitable. Perplexity is not profitable, right? So these companies are buying market share. XAI is not profitable, right? So in the hopes that by having market share, they're going to have these massive valuations later, and they're also going to be able to monetize what they've created. So we're at the very early stages, and when you start to see acquisitions, consolidation, and companies going out of business is when like the market will start to mature and stabilize. But for now, we're going to continue to see advances very, very quickly. Interestingly, I saw that ChatGPT can now integrate. Before, it could only integrate with Google Drive. This week, it can now integrate with SharePoint. So if you're on Office 365 and you get permission from your IT department, you can integrate your ChatGPT, and it can go look through your files in your in all your Teams file, in your SharePoint files, basically SharePoint, Teams, OneDrive, all that stuff, and do deep research through your files. Like you can say, hey, write me a report of everything I worked on last week, it can come back and do some pretty interesting things. Supposedly, I tinkered with that briefly, and I'm pretty impressed. I didn't give it a lot of information in the prompt I wrote, but it came back with a pretty robust examination of a bunch of of everything in one of my Teams drives. So I think
I'll take that as permission
that
to connect mine.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Everyone heard it. IT department just said it was okay.
No, that's not what happened. It did not happen.
So sorry, I actually cut you off. You were about to say something else.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say, the similar vein of acquiring, OpenAI has acquired Windsurf, which is a coding software, from what I understand.
Yep.
Okay. Mark understands these things a little better than me.
I'm not yupping. I didn't read the news on this. So, I saw the price tag. I actually don't know what Windsurf does, to be honest. The price tag was like $3 billion, right?
They raised $3 billion under the internal codename Windsurf. So it's dramatically enhancing its software coding models and infrastructure. So OpenAI is looking to have a future of automated programming, essentially.
Yeah, I'm sure that they are. They're looking at Cursor, which they actually are the AI engine that powers Cursor, and Cursor's worth billions now. And Cursor doesn't even have their own AI models. So Cursor was the fastest company ever to $100 million a month in recurring revenue, and they are just a wrapper around ChatGPT. And so I think it's ChatGPT. It could be Claude. I'm actually not sure now that I think about it. But the point being, they don't have any of their own true AI technology outside of like they're leveraging others, and they do a great job at what they do. And you can write code in a variety of languages, and people are paying for this capability in droves, right? So developers are always, when you make their lives easier, when you make them have to do less uninteresting work, they will pay for that. And so we're seeing that in significant numbers. So it's not a surprise investment. It's an area that there's going to be a lot of advances in, because the audience is very accepting of AI.
Yeah, it blows me away that they're not profitable with all of these partnerships and how rapidly they've expanded. I'm still kind of stuck on that OpenAI is not.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Um,
I don't know how. I believe they're for every. So I believe for every dollar they take in, they're spending 2 right now.
Yikes.
I've done that for a month or 2, and then it all comes crashing down pretty fast.
Yeah, no. Recently I saw something about the CEO saying how much you saying please and thank you to it actually costs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why would he bring that up?
But
Because they're burning money.
so yeah, Sam Altman said that. But he also, I saw something where he said some O3 queries, some O3 prompts are complex enough that they cost OpenAI $20,000 to run. So imagine that you're sitting behind a computer somewhere and you're like, and you write, I imagine these are not simple one-line prompts, but like
No.
you go write a prompt and you set O3 off to do something and it works on it for 15 or 20 minutes and comes back and you literally spent $20,000 primarily in electricity, right? Because that's really what the expense is.
Yeah.
So it's you can imagine how they're not making money. Most people are just not, thankfully, lucky for them, most people are not asking for they're not prompting at that high of a demand, but it'll be a while before it stabilizes. So on the flip side of energy usage though, because AI never gets any credit for this, I think this is really interesting. I saw an article that happened in Florida about a traffic light study that AI could improve traffic lights. So I did some research and I was looking around, and as it turns out, there are a bunch of cities around the world, from Dubai to coastal towns in India, right? They're piloting AI controlled signals. They're doing real-time sensing of traffic, and they're adjusting their timing for their lights on the fly. So in Pittsburgh, they have a system called SureTrack, and it slashed travel times by 25%, and it removed 40% of the stops. So not only you get there sooner, but you also don't have to stop as often, and traffic flowed more. So Google's got a trial going as well. They're reporting 30% less idle time, right? So this is a big deal because engines actually, it's not good for engines to idle for long, like excessive amounts of time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's good all around from wear and tear. But in that same study in Pittsburgh, they saw a 21% drop in CO2. So I don't know if that's per mile. I would hope it'd be per mile driven, something like that. But hey, if we can start to see some advances that actually give back a little bit, I mean, we've heard negative about the energy use and other aspects, but if we can start to give back a little bit, that'd be great. And then the other plus side is, systems like these can prioritize different things depending on time of day or where they're at, right? So beach towns with a lot of pedestrian traffic, they can prioritize safety and notice that there's somebody in the crosswalk still and not turn the light green. They can prioritize ambulances because there's an ambulance coming, so the lights can turn green sooner and the crosswalks can clear and cars can get out of the way, right? There's all, I mean, like, you think about it, you give it the right priorities and it can really improve the way traffic flows. And that's, from a quality of life standpoint, for a lot of people, it's a big deal.
Yeah, they need to put that on the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel. And I know that means nothing to you, but that makes what should take 30 minutes, it makes it take 2 hours sometimes to get across.
People over there at the Hampton Roads
Bridge Tunnel. Yeah, write them a strongly worded letter.
Is that like, that's like one of the, I feel like I'm being tested on how well I speak.
We call it the HRBT because nobody's going to say that mouthful. But
yeah,
it needs it in particular. Pronto, it needs it yesterday.
That's your calling, Jordan. Get out there, get it done, get it signed off on by the city or the county.
They already signed off on expanding the tunnel, so I think they'll probably take that.
Maybe they'll do it both at once.
Both at once, that would be nice. Well, anyway, thanks again, everyone, for joining us. If you're interested in learning more about AI to support you in your role at work, you can scan that QR code in the corner to learn more about our AI training program, or reach out to you. Other way, there you go.
It's one of the two. We never really know where we're pointing when we do these, so
or you can reach out to us for more info. And we'll be here next week with more updates, Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Have a great day.